Welcome to a fresh episode of the Restoration Today podcast. Hey, if you're liking what you hear, please leave us a review. We would really appreciate it. Hey there, thanks for checking out this video on cnrmagazine.com or on YouTube or wherever you are watching. We're here to do a really quick update on a conference that's coming literally next week. Healthy Buildings America has gone through some changes over the last few months, and now because of COVID and the way the world is, we're not going to Hawaii. We are going to sit in front of our computers with a blanket and a warm cup of coffee, and we are going to learn about cleaning things across the board. So anyway, I am joined by John Downey, who is the executive director of CIRI, the Cleaning Industry Research Institute. I knew I would do that when it came to it. And he has helped put Healthy Buildings together. So John, thank you for coming over to give us an update. I appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about the background of the conference and where things are today.
First of all, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me and allowing me to spend some time with you and through you to your audience, and especially with the things that have happened, it's really helpful to do that now. Well, as you already mentioned, I think you explained what happened with Healthy Buildings better than I can. But we went from we have been determined since we first started planning the conference to be live in Hawaii, and in fact have rescheduled it 3 times, had 4 different dates, and finally we are up against another conference that is done by ISIAC, which is our partner organization, that is in June, so we couldn't postpone it anymore. And then Omicron came along, and God bless it, God bless the world. It was between Christmas and New Year's that we finally just made the hard and very difficult, not happy decision, but necessary decision to go from an all live conference. Well, actually, it wouldn't have been all live, but it had been a live conference with 1 live stream track to a fully virtual, but also live conference. All the presentations are going to be available live for this conference. So with doing that, one thing we did when we went to this final date, this January 18th to the 20th dates, is we knew we could not postpone it again, so we did start making preparations for worst case, and if we had to go all virtual. So when we made the decision between Christmas and New Year's, we didn't make that decision and just start from scratch. We had been doing some work to basically prepare for a virtual conference if it came to that. And as I said, it was I think it was the Monday after Christmas, Monday or Tuesday, that we officially made the decision and started moving forward. So it's been quite a ride.
You're going to have some really good nights of sleep when this is all over. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want the industry to understand that this isn't a conference like a lot of the ones that we're used to going to in the US, right? Like going to RIA or Contractor Connection or whatever. We have a lot of conferences that we're used to. This one does not look the same. So talk a little bit about how many speakers there are and kind of the main focus of this conference overall.
Sure. Well, first of all, compared to, there are probably at least 10 times to 50 times, maybe 100 times more speakers at this conference than at most conferences that our industry knows. This is a science research conference, and compared to RIA or one of the other industry conferences that might have maybe 20 or 30 presentations, this will have between 200 and 250 different presentations. They are a variety of different kinds of presentations. There are workshops, there are what are called oral presentations, and they're only about 10 minutes long each. So they're quick, very focused. Frequently they're focused on research. And then the third type of presentation is a poster presentation, and those of us in the industry just scratch our heads about that. Think of a science fair project. That would be the best description of a poster presentation. They're brief. They're focused on they rather than using a PowerPoint, they basically have a physical poster, which will not be physical. Well, it will be physically available
Okay.
in the background that they're creating them. So those are the different types of things. Now, as far as the focus of the conference, help me speak. The theme is bridging the gap between research and practice in the age of COVID-19 and beyond. And that's what's pretty important about CIRI and the industry being involved in this conference, because this conference has always supposed to have been something that involved practitioners, contractors, but it pretty much never has. It has been a researchers conference, academic researchers doing research, and then basically having it published, or it actually gets published in the proceedings of the conference. So they would do a presentation, it would be published, and then it goes on a shelf and nobody hears or sees about it again. Because of my position with CIRI, I've come to know that the academic research world in ways that I never expected I would.
Yep.
And what I have found is there is a vast treasure trove of information that has been developed in that world that can be useful to people that are in the cleaning and disaster restoration business. And that's really what attracted me to doing it. And that's why CIRI is we're the host organization. ISIAC, it's an ISIAC conference. And ISIAC has been all in from the beginning and completely, with it truly being a research to practice conference. So probably between 40 and 50% of the different presentations are considered research to practice or practice to research presentations. So there are a lot of things that are relevant to people in our business. The other thing that, as the name implies, the other thing that is pretty important is, unfortunately, it's still important, is COVID-19 and then beyond, because I think we all can accept now that as a consequence of COVID, I think we're, God, I pray that we are to the point of it moving from pandemic to endemic. But the world has changed. Our understanding, our awareness of bugs and viruses and bacteria and a variety of different microorganisms has changed. And so that focus, COVID-19, but as much the and beyond part of it, and how that relates to people in our industry, I think is, I think it is up to us to responsibly respond to the opportunities available to the cleaning and restoration industries really. We really have to we have to step up with that and do it responsibly and well. And this is an opportunity to kind of develop in those ways. And anyway, so.
Okay. All right. So you hinted at this a little bit already, but there is some value to this going virtual. So can you dive into that a little bit more, and what people are going to get out of the virtual experience that they maybe wouldn't have gotten if they had gotten to go to Hawaii? They would have gotten other things.
Yeah.
You won't talk about that.
Yeah, they're really pleased that they aren't going to have a chance to go to Hawaii, I'm sure. Yeah. Like me. Actually,
for work,
there is a very significant silver lining in that, with the original conference being primarily a in-person conference, we're going to live stream 1 out of 3 or 4 tracks. By moving to virtual, all of the tracks are going to be available live, as well as in recorded sessions for 60 days after the conference. So there is, another thing that is kind of interesting, we really weren't expecting it, but as it's happened, it makes sense. The number of excuse me, I lost my train of thought. Oh, the number of presentations in the conference is actually going to increase from what we had when it was a live conference, because of COVID, people were not going to be able to get there, and so we had some cancellations of presentations, and so it had dwindled down some, and once it went all virtual, it has gone back up. So we're actually, probably our attendance is going to be better. Nobody's going to get sunburned, unfortunately. But well, unless you're in Florida and you're sitting outside, then you might get sunburned. But that's another story. That's another option. So those are, that kind of an important silver lining is that so much more information will be available in the virtual conference. And again, it is going to be live. So if you can attend live, there's going to be question and answer sessions, opportunities for that throughout. I will tell you, the people in our industry are not going to find that everything that at this conference is relates to what they do. But you will be surprised. Probably, as I said, research to practice is between 40 and 50%. That some of that includes COVID, other does not. There will be a fair amount of, there will be more information available at this conference that is related to the industry than any conference they've ever been to, even without trying, because of the type of conference it is.
With that many tracks, there's no way that you can't find something that's relevant to you. You totally can find things that are relevant to you. All right. So this is called Healthy Buildings America, but you've also talked about that this isn't just people from the US that are coming. This has a global reach. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, it is truly, and all of the ISIAC conferences are global, but this one especially was, and we have well over 100 attendees, many of which are presenters from Asia, and a strong majority of them are from Japan. And those are some of the main ones that were planning to, some were going remote, others were not had withdrawn their presentations because they weren't able to travel. And it wasn't that they couldn't get there, it was that when they went back to Japan or back to China or back to Korea, they would have to quarantine for like 15 days. So for a lot of people, that just did not make sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there's still time to sign up. It is coming next week, but there's still time. So, I don't want to leave before we talk about this. The content isn't going to just be available next week either. So say there are multiple tracks that you want to go to at the same time and you can't make them all. Talk about what's going to be on demand later, how that's going to work.
Everything. So see what attend live, next week for however much you're able to. But in addition to that, when for the next 60 days, the entire conference will be available. The only thing you won't be able to do at that point is you won't be able to answer or ask questions in the Q&A. So you want to try and be involved as much as possible, especially with key sessions at the during the live conference next week. But for 60 days, the entire conference will be available, and then after that, I don't know exactly how this is going to be done, but we'll be taking sections of the conference, pieces of the conference, and breaking those out, and they will be available through ISIAC, possibly through CIRI, and possibly through some of our sponsors. I know several of our sponsors are interested in doing some of that stuff.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right. So for people who are watching and want to sign up, you can go to hb2021-america.org, or you can Google Healthy Buildings America 2021 and it comes up pretty easily. And you can register right on the website. It is easy. John, anything else you want to add before we wrap it?
The only other thing I would add is, likewise, you can go to the website and actually on the homepage of the website now, just click on the schedule, and it goes into into the actual current and constantly being updated schedule for the conference, so they can see for themselves. I mean, what we're talking about with a lot of these presentations.
Perfect.
So, and the only other thing I would say is, just as I said at the beginning, thank you again, Michelle. I really appreciate you allowing us the time to talk about healthy buildings and
Not go to Hawaii.
and I'm not going to whine or whimper until after it's over about not going to Hawaii.
Well, at least if we can talk about football teams and talk about how our football teams did well in another football.
We could, and both of our football teams did very well on the Buckeyes and the Spartans. There was another team that shall remain nameless.
Yes.
That didn't do so well.
No. Well, John, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to a lot of the content that's coming next week. So hopefully we'll see a lot of other people online, and I will chat with you soon. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Take care, Michelle.
For more Restoration Today, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, or find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts.